Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make coconut macaroons, and this is what they look like. This cookie has a sweet coconut flavor. The outside of the cookie is, as you can see, golden brown and nice and crisp, yet inside they're soft and chewy. Now they're really good on their own, but I think they're even better when you dip the bottoms in chocolate. So, to start, you will need to get going a saucepan of simmering water, and then we're not going to use any mixer here. It's going to be done by hand. You'll need a large bowl, heat proof. I like to use stainless steel. And then you will need 4 large egg whites. That's 120 grams. Now, I'm going to show you how I separate eggs. You will need 3 bowls. Start with a cold egg, and then just crack it. Now some people go back and forth, with your egg yolk. What I like to do is, clean hands please, but I just put the egg yolk, the whole egg in my hand, and then I kind of open my fingers and let all the white just kind of drip through. That's my preference. So then what you have is you have your whites, and then your yolk, and then I've already done some of my whites, so then you put your egg white in there. The reason I have 3 bowls is when I crack another egg, I want to do it in an empty bowl, just in case when you're separating, it can happen, you get a little bit of the yolk, so you don't want to contaminate the whole amount, especially if you're doing a lot of whites. So that's how I do it. So we have our 4 large whites in here. To that, I'm going to add 1 cup, 200 grams of granulated white sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. And I'm just going to whisk that together. And then we're going to put this over the saucepan of simmering water. And we're going to heat this mixture until it's just warm to the touch. And you want to whisk it constantly because we do not want to cook our whites. Really, what we want to do is just warm them up. And that's going to make them more fluid, and it's also going to melt our sugar. So just whisk it all the time, and then, just feel it every once in a while. And when it's warm, you take it off the heat. Okay, so when I feel it, it is warm to the touch. So I'm going to take it off the heat, like that. And as you can see, nice and creamy. Our sugar has melted. So that's what you're looking for. And now I'm going to flavor the mixture with 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. I kind of like that coconut and vanilla. If you don't want a vanilla flavor, you can just leave that out. And then what I'm going to do is add 1/2 cup, 60 grams of cake flour. Cake flour is a low gluten flour. It's going to give our macaroons a nice tender crumb. And I'm going to sift it over the top. Now, some people say they can't find cake flour. So what you can do, you kind of make a really good substitute. Take 1/2 cup, 60 grams of all-purpose flour. Just remove 1 tablespoon of it and replace it with 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Just kind of whisk that together, and you kind of have a really good homemade cake flour. So I'm just going to whisk that in. I know some recipes for macaroons don't have flour, but I kind of like this. It gives it a more dense, like cookie texture, which is what I'm looking for. And we only have 1 more ingredient. I bet you know what it is. Our coconut. We are using dried coconut here. Now, I'm going to give you a choice. You can use sweetened dried coconut, or you can use unsweetened dried coconut. I'm going to use the unsweetened. The reason is, 1, I like the texture a little better. If you use sweetened coconut, your texture of your cookie is going to be a little softer. And the difference, of course, is if you use sweetened, your macaroons are going to be even sweeter tasting than if you use unsweetened. But you know what? I've tried both, and I mean, there's not a lot of difference, but I just go with sweetened, which is, or unsweetened, sorry. It's just dried coconut like that. The sweetened, if you feel the two, the unsweetened is dry to the touch. The sweetened is quite soft because they take coconut, they dry it, but they add sugar to it. And I look on the label on the package, they also add water to it. Either way, you will need 3 cups. If you're using the unsweetened, 3 cups is 200 grams or a 7-ounce package. Now, if you use the sweetened, you will still need 3 cups, but it's going to weigh more. It's going to weigh 300 grams because obviously you got the sugar in there. It's going to be heavier. So that's the difference. And you can use, dried coconut comes either shredded or flaked. Either one, what you can find in your store. Now for the unsweetened, you know, it used to be the only place you could buy it is health food stores. But I find now, I just go to my local grocery store and they offer both the sweetened and the unsweetened. So that's really nice. You don't have to go hunting for it. So now we're just going to mix this together. Make sure all of that coconut is moistened. And then we're not going to bake off our cookies right away. We're going to let this, I'm going to cover this and put it into the refrigerator to chill until it's firm. So, I mean, maybe 2 hours. Really what I do is I make the batter, I cover it, and I just put it in the fridge overnight and I bake it off the next day. So either way, so that's what I'm going to do. And then when we come back, we will form our cookies and bake them off. So now, our batter has, as you can see, it's nice and firm. I did let it chill overnight. So now we are ready to make our cookies. So first, preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 165 degrees Celsius. You will need to have a baking sheet. I've lined mine with parchment paper, but you could just like lightly butter it or spray it with one of those nonstick sprays. Now, as you can see here, I like a dome-shaped macaroon. So I'm going to use an ice cream scoop. This is about, you know, like a heaping tablespoon. So you could just use a tablespoon and then just form it. But if you have one of these, this is time to pull it out. So just take. Now each cookie, if you want to weigh it, is about 20 grams. So what I do, I'm going to put like 4 rows of 3. And then I shape it like that. And then, as you can see, there's like a little extra. So you may have to lightly moisten your hands or get a little water on your hands. And then just kind of make a little dome shape like that. Too cute. Okay, last one. So this amount of batter is going to give, you know, about 24 to maybe 26. So I'm going to bake one sheet off, and then, you know, you could keep your batter for like another day in the refrigerator if you don't want to bake them all off at once. Okay, so now, hands are a little sticky. Baking. Everyone's oven is a little different. So what you want, I'm going to say between like 18 and 20 minutes. You want them to be, the outside to become nice and, as you can see here, start to go golden brown. The longer you bake them, the more crispy the outside will be. But then, of course, that'll dry out the center a little, so it depends how dense or how soft you want the inside to be. I'm going to say 18 to 20 minutes. Start to turn brown. Rotate your baking sheet front to back, about halfway through baking, so it's nice and even. Okay, so our coconut macaroons are now done. You can see it's starting to brown nicely. So put your pan on a wire rack. I'm gonna let them cool. Now, you can have them just like this. They're good warm. They're good at room temperature. They're good cold. But what I'm gonna do is let them cool, and then I'm gonna show you how to dip them in melted chocolate. So now we're going to dip our macaroons in some melted chocolate. So in a heat-proof bowl, you will need 4 ounces, which is 115 grams. Now you can use either a semi-sweet or a bittersweet chocolate. You want to use a good quality chocolate. By that I mean you just would eat, like you take a piece of this and you would just eat it and enjoy it. I'm actually using a chocolate bar, so you want to, coarsely chop that. And then I'm just going to add a half a tablespoon, like 6 grams of unsalted butter. It's going to just help to make it a little more fluid. I'm going to put my bowl over a saucepan of simmering water and just going to melt those two together. Okay, so our chocolate is melted. Take it off the heat. Be very careful. Do not overheat your chocolate, or it becomes like this solid kind of mess. So be careful. Have it at simmering, stir it a bit, and as soon as it's almost melted, take it off the heat. So let's give it a good stir here. Now I'm going to dip the bottoms of the macaroons. I mean, some people just like to drizzle the chocolate over the top, or I guess you could cover the whole thing in chocolate if you want it. So I'm going to just make sure they're cool down, your cookies, and I'm just going to swirl it in the chocolate, like so. And then just got a parchment lined baking sheet. I'm just going to put it on there, and then you just keep doing it to all of them. And once you have them all done, what I do is just pop this baking sheet into the refrigerator until they're nice and hard. The chocolate has hardened up. So I've showed you how to do it. So I've made some beforehand. Now what actually I did was I made some with this, as you can see, these ones with the unsweetened chocolate, and I dipped those. But I also made some of the cookies with sweetened coconut, so you could see the difference. As you can see, they do spread a little more. Still dome shape, but a little more spreading. I do find when, I'll taste a little. Because you've got more sugar, because sweetened coconut has sugar. They're a little softer in texture and a little sweeter. This is the one with the unsweetened. You can see a little difference. It's going to be a little drier with the unsweetened. Still moist. Testing is such a hard job to do, but somebody's got to do it. They're really good. I used a chocolate semi-sweet, about 58% cocoa content, so it's a little bit of sharpness, which I think offsets the sweetness of the cookie. But either one, they're not that sweet. I mean, you'd think with the amount of sugar, but I don't find them that sweet. You've got that really nice coconut flavor, and the texture is so good. It's kind of moist, it's chewy, it's dense. It's like such a good cookie. So now you can, because of the chocolate, I do tend to store them in the refrigerator. Actually, they'll last for days. I even think they get a little better tasting, as they sit. So you got to try this one. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.